My name is Angela Maxwell, and I teach at the Greenfield R4 Schools District. I would have liked to have had the setting at the school, but due to circumstances, that's not able to happen, so I'm doing this in my home. I will be introducing the story War Horse by Michael Morpurgo and explaining or giving examples using the book of perspective and personification. I intend to use the smartboard for this presentation because I think it's important for students to see that the internet is not just for social media, gaming, and videos, but that it can be a very good source of information for definitions, for visuals, etc. So the first thing I will do is ask this, I will put the word perspective on the board and ask the students to give me what they think is a definition of perspective. And hopefully they will have heard the term perspective in their English classes and hopefully in their art classes also. And I will give them a chance to voice their opinion as to what they believe perspective is. And then I will give them a bit of an explanation as to what perspective is by showing that it is from a Latin word that means to see through. And I will also give them some examples of perspective in the art world and visually seeing that it shows 3-dimension and showing how the hallway shows that it's very long by the fact that it gets very, very small toward the end. Another illustration of perspective is a 2-dimensional wall showing 2 walls. And I'll give the kids a chance to think about these pictures also. This box is very small, but I can draw a box that shows 3-dimension also. And this one that shows that it isn't facing it, it shows that it has height and depth and width. And that's what perspective is the way you see it or how it is seen through your eyes. And the book War Horse is told through a specific person's eyes, or specific set of eyes. And I want you to predict who is telling this story and who this is through, whose eyes this story is through. And we'll begin the demonstration by me reading the first paragraph of chapter 1 that says, "My earliest memories are a confusion of hilly fields and dark, damp stables, and rats that scampered along the beams above my head. But I remember well enough the day of the horse sale. The terror of it stayed with me all my life." Can you predict who is telling this story just by that first paragraph and possibly looking at the picture of the cover of the book? And I'll give the students a chance to make predictions, and none of them, will be considered wrong. So after they make those predictions, and I may write them on the board, then we'll read the second paragraph, sentence 1, that says, "I was not yet 6 months old, a gangling, leggy colt who had never been farther than a few feet from his mother." And then I'll give the students a chance to think again about whose perspective this book is being told through, whose eyes they are seeing through as they read this story. And hopefully they will see that it is through the horse's eyes. It is through the horse's point of view. If not, I can point out that the sentence begins with the word "I" and describes the colt to show them that that is how we point out and use the text to explain what we think is the answer. Then we will discuss personification. And I have an illustration of personification and a definition of personification using Wikipedia. It says that anthropomorphism or personification is any attribution of human characteristics or characteristics assumed to belong only to humans to other animals, non-living things, phenomena, material states, objects, or abstract concepts such as organizations, governments, spirits, or deities. And I want them to see this illustration that is done by Milo Winter of Aesop's fable, The North Wind and the Sun, and explain that Aesop's fable, The North Wind and the Sun, is a competition between the sun and the north wind to see who is the strongest by trying to make this traveler remove his coat. And they can read that fable also because it's very short, and explain that the wind and the sun would not compete. That is a human characteristic, and how they speak to each other. And the fact that, and then I'll ask the students, have you ever heard of a horse writing a book? Can a horse write? Can a horse have feelings? And I'm hoping asking if the horse can have feelings will open up a deeper discussion between the students and letting them voice their opinion, because to me it seems like animals can have feelings, but I've never heard of one writing a book. So this is an example of personification in the fact that the horse is telling the story. Then for independent practice, I will have the students read either independently, silent on their own, or with me reading to the students for the ones that have difficulty with reading. This is a book on about a 5th grade level, so it should be appropriate for a junior high classroom. And within the last 5 or 10 minutes of the class time, they will be asked to complete a worksheet on personification, in which they simply have to read the sentence and circle the object that's being personified and write the meaning of the personification below each sentence. Quite simple. There's only 10 questions, and it's taken from Wikipedia also. Thank you.